And you're sporting the hair.
Well, I'd have hair as short as the next as anybody if my wife would allow it. But she likes it this way, and she washes my socks and cooks my meals and bears my children. So it's the least I can do.
I feel you, man. I got a little going on. This is a lot for me.
Great. Good, good, good. Yeah. Got to keep those the ladies in our life happy, don't we?
Because they clean the socks, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yep.
How's the weather in Columbia? It was raining here today. How's the weather?
Well, right now it's just a little cloudy, quite pleasant, and sun's out in spots. But last night we got a lot of rain, and they actually had to shut down a lot of the roads in Columbia because they were flooded. They're higher than I've. A lot of them are higher than I've ever seen in my um, 40 odd years in Columbia.
Well,
We got a lot of rain.
you take the bike in today?
No, I did not. No, I drove in today. Had to bring the trash in. We live in the country, no trash service, so I got to bring my trash to Shakespeare's.
Are you still a Rolls Royce guy?
Yeah, yeah. See this one right here, right there.
Uh,
That's a model of one of our cars.
how many you got?
Well, we had four. I sold one to a fellow who's going to fix it up, and that one really needed a lot of fixing up. But right now we're down to three, and they're really fun. The thing we have to throw in there about the Rolls Royces is these are the 70s and 80s models, and those cars are very inexpensive vintage cars to play with as a hobby. You could buy two of them for the price of a Camry. So um, they're when you say Rolls Royce, people immediately think, oh, the guy's rich, loaded with money. But the new ones are that way. But these old hobby cars are just that. They're hobby cars.
I got something for you. This
Look at
bringing back
that.
old
Look at
school.
you. Yeah. Does that turn it? Let me see the whole thing. Turn it around.
So we got west,
Okay.
south.
What is it? Does it have a date on it? What is the date below the building?
Um, I'm looking date below the.
Right below the bill. Oh, no, that's a Temp Spears one. The side facing me is the fence.
Okay.
Yeah. See that there? It says Temp Spears. We're
Yeah,
open
yeah,
around the.
yeah, yeah. I still got them.
Yeah. When they knocked our original building down, and rebuilt it into that apartment building, we moved next door, and that was the cup from that era.
What's it like to see 20,000 bricks get cleaned and put back into place?
Uh, Tedious. Yeah, that took months. It was actually 28,138,
To be precise.
and I still have about 12,310 in my, yeah, that we
You know,
didn't use for spare.
Kurt.
Are we live with our thing yet,
Yeah, we're
or
just BSing, man. We're just hanging out.
okay?
Um, compliment time. More than anybody I know, you are very good with your numbers. We were talking about the fact that you just named off how many freaking bricks there were or whatever. But where you and I have,
David,
um,
I made that up.
oh, but you fake it good. But what I've always liked about you, we've worked together for maybe 5 years, something like that. You've got a better handle on the raw numbers, taking personalities and people out of the equation to know what you need to do for your business. Where'd you learn that?
It Well, I went to business school, and there's a lot of, I got my degree in management at MU, and there's a lot of that in there. But it just seemed obvious if you're going to, in your case, we're involved with the text messaging thing that we have in partnership with you guys. If I pay the text messaging service $1, am I going to, make more than $1 in profit, and therefore it's worthwhile? And you have to do that with everything to know what's going on. It just seemed obvious to me, and I kind of had a knack for numbers. I actually had a really good knack for economics. I back in the 70s, 80s, early 80s when I was in college, I got an A in every economics course I took. So I had kind of a knack for econ and supply and demand and equilibrium, price, and all those things. So it just seemed natural to me that and obvious that we needed to keep score of what's going. Because in business, the financial statements are the scoreboard. It'd be kind of silly to go into a football game and never look at the scoreboard and not keep track of who has how many points, wouldn't it?
So you went to Mizzou?
Yeah, sure.
Who was the professor? I took Econ 1 and nothing after that. You got guns and you got butter. You have butter and you do what I'm talking about?
Sure, that's a classic. Sure, opportunity cost and all that. Sure, that was Walter Johnson, probably.
Walter Johnson. He was there forever. I mean, everybody had that class, and that's how he started every semester.
Yep, and he would come into Shakespeare's long after I graduated. He would come in with his wife every now and then and enjoy pizza. And I got to talk to him a couple of times, and I told him I really enjoyed his classes. I got A's in every econ course I ever took, not just his, and that I was applying things here. And he was, yeah, it was nice to be able to say that. It's nice probably as a educator when your students come back and say, I learned something from you
Right.
and you made a difference. So it was nice to be able to offer him that.
Talk about the business. How's staffing going? I work with a lot of restaurants. How's staffing going?
It's always a challenge, but we're doing okay. We're having a tough time of it, as are all. But there are still people out there who want a job. There's just fewer of them, and they're able to be more selective about where they look for a job. But uh, we're Shakespeare's, and people put us up on some kind of pedestal. Shakespeare's, but it's still just a pizza joint, really. But I think we've had a really good workplace. We're really proud of that. We have about 160 employees, and we have probably 20 or 40 of those have been with us for 10 years or more. We have the average employee at Shakespeare's has been here 3.5 years. And in food service, that's usually months or weeks.
Right.
Um, so word gets out that it's a good place to work, where you're treated fairly, you're treated like a human. Respect goes both ways. We let people think we know these kids are smart, and a lot of them aren't kids. A lot of them are adults, and we just try to have that culture, that atmosphere, that where you work be a good one. We're very aware of that, and word gets out and it attracts people.
Knocking on wood. Anything we're taking out of COVID that we learned and now we're using it moving forward?
Wash your damn hands, people. Yeah, yeah. Um, it's. I mean, look at what happened with the regular flu was almost non-existent this time around. I heard. I'm not sure if this is true. I heard this because everyone was wearing face masks. So taking precautions and practicing good sanitation has a benefit.
Right.
Imagine that.
So, like with the restaurant, though, did you do anything? Take orders differently?
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff that ironically financially benefits you. And now, because you were forced to learn that skill during COVID, you're now continuing to do that.
Um, I take exception only with the word financially, because all of these things cost money, and the easiest, least costly thing to do is to just abandon, hand washing and save time, gloves and save the expense, training your employees about sanitation and save that expense. So it's not a financial thing, but if everyone's practicing it, then it's an even playing field. The tide's gone up for everyone, and um, and so we've learned the importance of sanitation because of the pandemic. And I think that the majority of restaurants are aware of that and are going to move forward being cleaner and tidier and more sanitary, and that's only a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So, background on Kurt, military brat, correct?
That's right.
How many bases?
Oh gosh, California, Virginia. My dad did a tour in Vietnam. Thanks, Dad.
Mm.
The family lived in St. Louis at that time, which was hometown. I went to early elementary school in the Philippines in a base over there, and I went to most of high school in Naples, Italy. and a base there. So I grew up literally living all over the world, moving every year or two or three. So my formative years were constant change, and that I think had a big effect on making me, who I am and what I'm like. But it was really fun to look back at. I mean, who else goes to high school in Naples, Italy?
Well, a lot of people that I know that grew up in the military, they're one of two things, right? They're either introverts or they're the class clown. And I got a feeling you were the latter.
Yeah, kind of probably.
You
It
speak
was
any
it
other
was always kind
languages?
of hard because I was always the new kid, and there's always cliques and friends and groups, and I was always the new guy, the outsider. So that was a bit of a challenge, but worked out.
And your dad was German. Was your mom German?
My father had German heritage.
Right.
Yeah, that family goes back. My mother goes all the way back to Daughters of the American Revolution, mostly. I think there's some Irish in there too, but or Scottish. No, Scottish in there too, but that's going way back. But in other words, classic American hodgepodge background.
Making a lot of pizzas?
Yes, we are.
No, were
We,
you growing up?
was I making pizzas growing up?
Did your
No.
mom make pizzas? Were you making pizzas?
No,
Was this
well, not any more than anybody else. Remember the Chef Boyardee pizza in a box? You
I
might
do?
remember this. You'd buy a box at the grocery store, and it was about that tall, kind of narrow, and it had a little can of pizza sauce. It had a can of this nasty powdery stuff that was supposed to be cheese, and then a bag of dough, and you would mix up the bag with water, make dough, roll it out, put the sauce and cheese on. And if you wanted to add toppings besides, I don't even know if you can get that anymore, but
I hope you can't. But I remember,
but
Kurt, the
yeah,
crust was so thin. I mean,
yeah.
no matter how small the pizza, it was like the crust was always, it couldn't hold the ingredients that you wanted to put on it.
Well, back in started in the 50s, I think, and going into the 60s, it was all about convenience and push button, and all you have to do is open a can and eat straight in the oven, and TV meat dinners, and all of that. And we soon eventually realized that a lot of that comes with an ingredients list, and you can't pronounce most of the items in the ingredients list. So are they actually good for you? Yeah. But that was a part of growing up, and also of course when we lived in Naples, that was probably 3 years. Pizza was a big thing of
Right.
was a big part of what was going on, because pizza started in Naples. A cook, I forget, I'm going to get parts of this story wrong, but Princess Margarita was served tomatoes on bread, and it was cooked on tomato. The tomato sauce was right on the bread. Well, the first pizza. In fact, today the pizza margarita is served on the menu of a lot of restaurants. Remembering Princess Margarita. Basically, it's a cheese pizza.
Right.
Add
With
toppings if you
the
want.
tomatoes and the mozzarella and that kind of stuff.
Sure, sure. But authentic Italian pizza, specifically Neapolitan pizza, because that's where it started, is very different from anything you get pretty much anywhere in America, unless you can find a restaurant, and they're out there that do make them the way they make them in Naples, and it's good stuff.
And I might have this wrong, but at Shakespeare's late one night, they were making a pizza and people came in and it accidentally fell into the fryer, and that's how the calzone got created.
Uh,
like a
yeah,
toast,
probably.
like a toasted ravioli story.
Yeah, no, that's not a Shakespeare's pizza story. That's a good story though.
So in Naples, did you learn Italian? Do you speak Italian?
No, no. You would be amazed at how much money our government spends to maintain the American way of life for its military and public service servants overseas. We went to an American high school. You could go to the Navy base, and there was the PX and the commissary, which were like a regular grocery store and department store. There was this little American enclave, and you didn't need to know any more Italian than you wanted to know.
Hmm.
I learned a few phrases, but that was it.
And you were a tennis guy going up? You like tennis?
A little bit, yeah. I played around with it. Yeah, I had enjoyed it.
Who was your guy?
What guy?
Did you like Gerolitis? Did you like
Oh, I
Condon?
didn't follow it. I just played it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When'd you land in Colombia?
Why? Missouri was always
Yeah,
home state. I was
right.
born in St. Louis. My father, when you're in the military, you pay taxes and vote in one state, even though you move all over. And that was Missouri. So we were home state. So I got in-state tuition at Mizzou, came to Mizzou. And after a few years, yeah, on campus, also in a small town, a new, unusual, fascinating thing happened to me. I knew people around town because I had moving all around my whole life. That never happened.
Right.
And that was a really eye-opening experience. And then I wound up just taking root here and stuck around like a few people did, and like a lot of people do in Columbia. And
Did a little
it's
research last
history.
night getting ready for this. You started at Shakespeare's in 78?
Yes, sir.
Delivery guy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're a delivery guy in a college town in the late 70s. You got any delivery stories you can retell?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you how many times I people answer the door delivering in their underwear and stuff like that. We delivered to one, and I knocked on the door, and I heard some laughing and some giggling and all kinds of stuff going on. As soon as I knocked on the door, it was silent. I heard some shuffling around, and then a door slammed, and then a guy answered the door wearing just a towel. I said,
Right.
here's your pizza, sir. And he said, thanks. Here, keep the change. Shut the door. So you wonder what was going on there.
That sorority just asked for 20 pizzas. I'll take that delivery right now.
Right, right. Yeah, and then there was a time I had my girlfriend didn't have anything else to do, so she tagged along with me while I was working delivering, and she was sitting in the back seat. Had a big old car with a big back seat, and she was laying down reading a book in the back seat. I was in the front driving with the pizzas next to me. Well, I stopped at a sorority to deliver a pizza, so I didn't lock the car because my girlfriend's in the back seat. Well, somebody saw me get out of the car with a pizza, and they thought, oh, look, there's some more pizzas in there. So he opens the door and he's going to steal the pizzas. And she's in the back seat saying, can I help you? What? And he takes off running. All
Tell
kinds of
everybody
fun.
who Jay and Nancy Lewis are.
Jay and Nancy Lewis, the Lewis family is one of the most influential, probably right up there, most influential people in my life. They own Shakespeare's Pizza. They bought it very shortly after it first opened by another guy, and were behind Shakespeare's until today. We lost Jay a few years back, which was a huge loss for a lot of us personally and professionally and in every other way. But they own Shakespeare's Pizza. I've been working for them since I was 19, and I can't say enough nice things about that family. I think I've worked really hard for them. I think they've treated me really well, and it's been a really good. It is a really good run and still going. So great
Couple,
family.
yeah, couple, but number two coming your way. You understood branding before it had a name.
I did.
You
Okay.
in early
Okay.
middle 80s somehow stumbled across the fact that this was Shakespeare's, this was the experience, this is what people felt and knew they were going to get, and then your advertising and all the other things, you carry that forth. Now everybody does it. And what 85 makes me 16, 17. So it's not like I've got a world of book knowledge on this, but it seems like you got into the groove before other people did.
Thank you. That sounds like a compliment. I appreciate that.
This is the second one right now. We'll just
Oh,
keep adding them on.
um, I think there's a lot of things that go into making any business successful, whatever it is. There's no one thing, and I think the idea of branding Shakespeare's and giving it an identity is something that helped Shakespeare's in the early years. You know, Jay and Nancy Lewis and I, and there were a bunch of other people too. There is no one person that made Shakespeare's what it is, but the chemistry of the people that came together in those early years in the 70s and 80s was one that just hit on something that was successful and helped Shakespeare's grow. It was a good recipe. It was a good attitude. It was that good workplace environment that I was talking about before. Um, it was a great location. That corner of Ninth and Elm is probably one of the best corners, and certainly in mid Missouri, maybe the state for a restaurant. But all these things came together, and one of which is the branding that you're speaking of. But to all of us who were there doing it at the time, it just seemed like the obvious thing to do. It didn't. There was no plan. There was no uh, focus group in the home office at the beginning thinking this is what we want to do and come up with a restaurant concept and this is what we're going to do. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that approach. Obviously, it's been very good for a lot of companies, but it didn't happen at Shakespeare's. Then it started working, and somewhere around, sometime in the 80s or the 90s or whatever, we started thinking, maybe this pizza thing's going to work out after all. And so we started trying to identify what it was that we were doing so that we could keep doing that and not have it be this inadvertent successful accident, but
Right.
be a conscious, formulated thing that could carry on. So the branding was part of that. That just seemed obvious to us at the time to do.
As you continue to talk about Shakespeare's, and we joked setting this up that this is just going to be a 45-minute infomercial about everything that is great and fun about Shakespeare's. Is there something that maybe people don't ask you about that you feel is a real big part of the Shakespeare story that people should know about? Because, dude, I did some research last night. You do a lot of podcasts. You're doing this one as a favor for me, and we're going to drop it. And what I love about podcasts is they exist forever. And so 5 years from now, 8 years from now, somebody's going to stumble across this. Something that we don't talk about in all the other podcasts that you want to bring up about why Shakespeare became what it became?
We authenticity.
Okay.
If we had to distill everything down to one word, it might be authenticity. Authenticity with how we, with the recipe, with how we treat our customers, with our attitude towards our employees, with our overall business approach. We don't try to bamboozle anybody or fake anybody out or anything. We just try to be try to be real. Try to make a real pizza that's really good. Try to employ people and be nice to the customers. Realize that they're people too, and they have a brain. We let them use it. We're very real with our customers. When we have customers that call us a lot of times and they'll order too much pizza for their group. Oh, I don't want to run out. Oh, it's okay. I don't mind. We're like, you really don't need that much. I'd be glad to sell you all that, but you really only need 6. You don't need 12 pizzas. um, and then that comes back to us because they get the 6 and they realize, oh, that was enough. I even have leftovers. And in the very long run, that authenticity and truthfulness and honesty and just doing the right thing with everything that you do in a business, and every business is 1,000 things that you do. If you've got that overall authenticity, real attitude overlaying it, then I think it's going to serve you very well. And that's, if we had to distill it down to one thing, and you really can't, but if you had to, that would probably be high on the list.
And if I talk to 10 independent pizza operations, I don't think anybody else uses the word bamboozled.
Well, I'm just showing my age there, kerfuffle, bamboozle, hujamaflicky.
Shakespeare's has won a lot of awards. You're always, college pizza of the year, or obviously mid-Missouri pizza of the year. Any one thing you got recognized that really moved the needle the most?
Those are always flattering and always complimentary. I mean, we just get up in the morning and come to work, and we got to mop the floor, clean the bathrooms, cut some pepperonis again. We're hungover. We don't feel like it, but we do it anyway. And when a customer walks in the door, you smile and say, hi, even though you feel like, ugh. But every now and then those come along. I guess one of the high water marks was ABC News, Good Morning America, does a feature. I have to confess, I don't watch the show that often because it's in the morning, and being a restaurant guy, I'm dancing on the ceiling at midnight.
Is that like a Lionel Richie? Did you just drop a Lionel Richie reference on me?
Yeah, I guess I did, didn't I? Yeah. But they did one. It was called Best Bites College Edition, And I think we've got a link to it on our website somewhere. This was in 2011, I guess. God, that was 10 years ago, man. But I got this telephone call on a Monday or Tuesday, forget of a week, and it was like, "Hello, my name's Sarah, and I'm from ABC News up in New York City with Good Morning America. It's a show you might have heard of that. Well, we're doing a feature called Best Bites College Edition, and we're going to choose the best college food in the country. And we've narrowed it down to 4, and you're in the final 4. We were wondering if we could send over a camera crew to take some pictures. We'll send them down from New York to take some pictures of your restaurant and your pizza and so forth, and interview you for our television show. Would that be all right?" I thought, what are you trying to sell? Well, anyway, it turns out once I figured out it was legitimate, it was really going on.
Right.
We put the social media machine to work. And in 2011, Facebook was a little different than it is now. Now it's sort of, well, it's different. But back then it was very novel, very new. And so we lit up Facebook and said, folks, you need to go vote for this, because this was on a Tuesday. The voting was going to be on the next Saturday, and the announcement was going to be on Sunday morning. And it was us. It was a breakfast diner with omelets and hash browns and biscuits and gravy in Tulane that was run by some really sweet old African-American gentlemen. It was a wonderful old country restaurant with Southern hospitality. It was a deli in West Virginia that had a sandwich that was French fries, chicken fingers, nacho cheese, jalapenos, French fries. Did I say that? All wrapped up in a fried fajita. It was just, that was their feature item.
It's like a carb delight.
Oh, it was a greasy carb. It was just, I just had a hard, I could feel my veins hardening just thinking about it. And then a tiny little college bar in Nebraska with it had the college had 500 students, so it was tiny. Well, we got on Facebook and told everybody, you need to come to this event next Saturday, this Facebook event. The event is go to Good Morning America and vote for Shakespeare's. And we had more votes than any of the other 3 combined by a factor of 6. I mean, we blew them out of the water. And that was really fun and very complimentary, but it spoke to the strength of the brand here in Columbia, because by 2011, people weren't doing it for Shakespeare's. They weren't doing it to help us out commercially. They were doing it for Columbia. This is Mizzou. This is Columbia. We got to beat the rest of these other guys in the country, was probably part of what was going on there. So, yeah, that was a real high watermark to have a national news organization name you best pizza, best college food in the country. Of course, it was all just a big publicity thing for ABC News. They just wanted a story. I'm sure when they received the nominations, they were looking for outfits that would have a good story factor to them. You know, they got this huge pile of letters or emails or whatever it was, and like, oh, here's one. Oh, this is barbecue. Wait, I can't read that guy's handwriting. He's out of there. Oh, but here's one. Oh, I can't stand sushi. They're out of here. Oh, here's one. Oh, it's a pizza place. Oh, they look kind of interesting. Let's maybe. So it wasn't anything scientific, but we'll take it.
And take it and run with it. So
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some more stuff, kind of to see where the conversation takes us. I love your happiness. You're a nice, energetic, positive person. And one of the things I got in these podcasts that I was listening to that you've done before, by the way, a couple of them, congratulations on being as nice as you were. It was like they're asking you these questions out of left field, and one thing that does come out is how much you love your wife. And
oh yeah.
And so
That's
I
her
think
right.
I heard a story. There she's right there. I think I heard a story.
Right
You
there.
guys met while she was ordering pizza and you were delivering, and love at first sight. And it just, is there a story there that you want to talk about?
It was 1980. Yeah. And God, if I get this wrong, I hope she doesn't hear this. And no, she won't.
Close.
She walked in the door. I was kind of in the back looking through a window that went from the back to the front service area there. And I saw this gorgeous gal walking in, and I thought, okay, the crew will take care of her. Those guys will give her all the good service she needs to order her pizza. Well, they came back in the back and they said, hey, Kurt, she wants to talk to you. She wants a job. So I said, okay. So so we hired her, obviously, and she's still here for 30. We just celebrated our 37th anniversary.
Let me see.
Yeah, 37th. This is the note she gave me. I forgot if
Awesome.
it was 38 or 37.
I was
37
going to
years.
ask you, do you have the wedding certificate next to you to prove that she actually got a chance to marry this lady?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great. We have two wonderful daughters. There's the weddings right there. And
What do the daughters
yeah.
do?
Well, my younger daughter started her own therapy clinic. She does therapy for mostly children. Just started that up this year, having a great time with that. And her big sister is a physician, just finished her residency in Kentucky and is moving to Denver and going to start practicing up there. So we're real proud of those two, very proud of those two. They're both married. Each of them has a kid. So I'm a grandpa, which is freaking weird. Let me tell you that. I get these things from AARP in the mailbox and I'm going through the mail like, it burns my hands and I throw it away. But
You know,
yeah, we're real proud of those
I
guys.
had a buddy whose dad owned a pizzeria. He owned a Barnaby's, which was a Chicago chain, but they
Okay.
moved to Chicago to the city. And that was the cool house. Whenever you spent the night at Tim's house, you got Barnaby's in the morning, you got Barnaby's in the afternoon. You only ate pizza and it was a blast. Were you the cool house on the block in the house?
Oh yeah. Well, definitely. Our daughters enjoyed big parties at our house. My wife came up with this idea. Let's make our house be the house where all the kids want to go because then we'll know where our kids are.
Sure.
They're not out somewhere. We actually had the opportunity to hold them back a little bit because they were on the edge for starting school. And then they would be the oldest one in their class. And they would be the one to get the driver's license first. And we would make sure that they knew how to drive and had a good car so they wouldn't be riding with some other who knows what. But yeah, we had lots of big parties at our house. Our kids got involved in community theater, which is can be a wonderful experience. And so we had, while they were in their teenage years, we had parties at our house, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year with 50 to 100 people constantly. Of course, I was in the restaurant business, so hosting a big event at our house is no big deal. But yeah, our kids definitely, and they would invite all their friends, and yeah, they had a great time growing up because who wouldn't want to go to the party of the kid whose dad runs Shakespeare's Pizza, you know, in Columbia. Yeah,
You talk about acting. Did I see something where you've actually been in a film?
yeah, yeah. The community theater thing, it was a great experience for our daughters, and my wife and I got sucked into it. Doing props and building sets and so forth. Well, community theater is always looking for adult males because they don't have a lot of, they're usually working, don't have a lot of spare time to fill the role of the dad. So I got sucked into that some, and I was in a couple of shows with my daughters at Columbia Entertainment Company. And then that led, there was a professor at the university who's doing a film project, making a feature film about Mil Mascaras, luchador stuff from um, Mexico, and they tapped into the local acting community and got connected with me, and I wound up auditioning for a bit part, but they liked me enough they put me in the second male lead, so I was in this feature-length film with Mil Mascaras. It went straight to DVD. I think you can buy it on Amazon if you really look hard to find. It's not a big deal, but yeah, it was a full feature film, and I got to be in it. It was a lot of fun.
What's the last good film you've seen?
Oh gosh, Broadchurch.
Hmm. I haven't seen that yet.
Broadchurch. It's actually not a film. It's a series. It's about 6 episodes. It's British, and it is far and away a high watermark in film watching for. Well, now the Ice Station Zebra and the Hunt for Red October are right up there too. But Broadchurch is some quality stuff.
Did you go
Really
see that
good show.
documentary festival they have in Columbia? Do you go to that?
No, the True Falls Film Festival. It's a fabulous event for Columbia. It's grown into be a world class event. We get people from all over the world that come to it. And it's a wonderful event for Columbia. I wind up working a lot because if we're in the food service business, a lot of people come to town and they go to restaurants. So
I hear
I
you.
don't watch many films. I make a lot of pizzas.
So In this podcast, the majority of the folks that listen are from St. Louis. Surprisingly, we do have a decent contingent from Columbia, but for those that are listening in St. Louis, how'd you get in the frozen pizza business? Let's start there.
Well, we had the restaurant. We thought, how could we sell more pizzas without having to open another storefront? Opening a restaurant is a very expensive thing, buying all the equipment, outfitting the store. But I thought, well, during the slow times, we could make some pizzas, but put them in a freezer instead of an oven
Right.
and sell them at grocery stores. So we bought a home freezer like you would have in your basement, and it had 4 shelves, so I can make 8 pizzas at one time, and wrap them up in cellophane and print some stickers on my label, on my laser printer. And we put them in a little quick shop out south of town where I live and started selling them. I brought 8 pizzas in and I said, could you sell these? Do you think they would go? I mean, people like Shakespeare's, right? And so they said, okay. When they put them in the freezer, they called me 2 days later and they said, they're gone. You got any more? So we cooked 8 more and brought them out there. And now we've got three big trucks going all over Missouri, and we're making, I don't know, a couple thousand a day. So,
Well,
and that
whoever came
was
up with the
years
finished
ago.
product, whoever came up with the finished product deserves credit. Of all the pizzas that I've been to and all the pizzas that I buy in the frozen section, your pizza tastes the most like being there.
Authentic,
Yep.
authentic. That's the thing. Yeah, the thing about the pizza is we just try to be authentic and use really good ingredients. The cheese is a high quality. Now I'm going to sound like a salesman here, but this is what it is. It's a
Go
high
with it.
quality cheese, which means high butter fat. The pepperoni is cut extra thick. The vegetables are fresh. Well, when they go on, they're fresh. Of course, once they're frozen for the frozen pizza, the dough is just flour, salt, sugar, yeast, oil, water. That's it. And so we take the same thing, and instead of putting it in an oven, we put it in a freezer, and that's what you get with a frozen one.
Why does the Italian pork taste so good? What's different in there?
Oh, that's a recipe. The Italian sausage is it's pork, and we first of all it's 90-10, so it's very very low fat, and then the spice mix that's added to it that makes it Italian sausage instead of just ground pork is a spice mix that we got from a meat packer on the hill in St. Louis. And that mix we still use and have our sausage made for us. Um, and so that's what it is. And I don't even know what the mix is. We got it written down somewhere, but yeah, but
There's
that's
no
why that's
quiz. There's no test at the end of the day. You don't sweat it. It'll be fine.
okay.
How close have you gotten to having a location in St. Louis?
That would be there's a lot of things in the plus column for that idea. Yeah, there's some challenges and hurdles in the minus column for that idea, but we're not ruling anything out. But yeah, that's a ongoing
Didn't you
conversation.
look at the airport at one time?
Those guys want rent that's through the roof. I mean, it's
Gotcha.
just crazy
And
to
there's
get
nobody
in
flying
there.
anymore. Or maybe.
No, there's that. Well, hopefully that's temporary.
Right.
Yeah, but
Because I remember one conversation we had, there was a restaurant bar near my house, right? And so somebody contacted me. I was in the what are you going to do now with your life stage? And I thought, there's really not, other than Harpo's, a good Mizzou bar. So I called you up and I said, hey, you know, don't want to waste your time, but how does it work if I buy this bar and I want to put Shakespeare's pizza on the menu? And before you talked about anything that I had called you for, you were like, well, are you prepared to spend 18 hours a day, every day for the next 3 years of your life making this restaurant happen? And I was like, well, Kurt, I'm just calling you about the pizza. So we never got to it because no, I wasn't prepared to spend 18 hours a day for the next 3 years of my life getting this thing up and running.
restaurants, people think, if you've got a good recipe, you can do a good restaurant, and that's like saying, if you know how to build a nice steering wheel, you can build a car. I mean, the recipe and the food is a vital part of a restaurant, but it's probably a small piece of the pie, so to speak, of all the things you need to do to run it. First of all, you're running a business with everything that goes along with it, but you're also, I mean, you're manufacturing a perishable product to exacting standards. If you do it wrong, you could kill somebody with food poisoning. It's rare, but it happens. You've got low wage, low skill, low motivation labor working for you, so you got that to fight. You've got incredible competition in the form of huge national chains that have a home office in Scottsdale that's figuring everything out for them, and little scrappy independent guys who used to work at those chains and figured out how to do it. And now he that 29-year-old guy. They're all over the place now. The independent, local, just one-off restaurants that do a really good job where that guy is working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. You've got those guys as competition. Plus, each and every person that walks through that door is convinced that they could make what you're making at home and probably do it better. And they probably could. They just don't want to be bothered to do that today. So they're going to come to your restaurant. So you've got every single factor that there is out there with businesses against you. And it's super competitive. And then when you called me up and said, hey, I think I want to do this, I'm like, dude, a good fajita recipe does not a successful restaurant make. There is so much more to it. And a lot of people don't realize that when they get into the restaurant business. And that's
So
why you
you
see them
get
come and
pitched
go.
all the time about the new items that are available, the food vendor guys that come to your place. You should have this on your menu. You should have that on your menu. Anything that somebody talked you into that failed miserably, and then something they talked you into that worked out well.
Well, there was a piece of equipment a long time ago. The idea was that delivery takes a long time with pizza because you have to cook the product. And by the time from the time you make your phone call to the time you get the pizza is, a 30-minute at least, probably 45 or an hour with our recipe. This guy had these trucks that had a big box on the back of the small truck that had a humidity controlled, temperature controlled holding oven. And so
Hmm.
you would put some popular pizzas in there and that would hold them nice and hot. And so when you called, we would radio the truck, because this is before cell phones, and say, yeah, the guy wants that pepperoni pizza you got, and you'd get your pizza in 5 minutes. But it failed miserably because people would say, oh, a pizza that's been on a truck for a while, that can't be any good, even though it really was. I just want to order my own. Can I do that? So we spent all this money on this truck and wound up. I think we took the box off the back of it and used it at the farm for a while after that. But yeah,
Your
we
15
get those
acres?
things all. I get those things all the time, and we keep coming back to it ain't broke. You don't have to fix it.
I understand. I think you say it's the pizza stupid.
Oh, that's just a catchy soundbite kind of thing. But yeah, um, oftentimes inside Shakespeare's when we're having staff meetings or we're worried about what's going on with something inside the restaurant and amongst the employees, we'll deal with the issue, but at the end of it we'll just say it's just pizza. It's just a pizza, stupid. This isn't rocket science. This isn't somebody's life here. This isn't. It's just a pizza. Okay. So trying to
What
keep things in perspective.
what is the highest purchased menu item that's not pizza at Shakespeare's?
Beer.
Ah, nice. Should have seen that coming.
Duh. Come on, David. We're on across the street from a college campus. What do you think?
Walk me through this as we get ready to wrap this up. And again, we're talking with Shakespeare's Pizza. Kurt's kind enough to give us some time. I don't know how many years ago did you have to tear down the original and the
Uh, well, we were just tenants. It
right?
wasn't our. We didn't do this. Some people get that confused. The We lost our lease, and the building came down in 2015, June of 2015, and by August of 2016, they had replaced it with the building that's there now. And we were back in this exact same footprint. The totally new building, but we outfitted our part of that building, which now includes apartments above it. We rebuilt it in the same footprint with the same floor plan, um, and that's where the downtown restaurant is now.
And you told a really funny story, if I remember it right, in regards to you didn't see it coming and you were going in there to finalize the lease, and then they, for the first time, told you that it was not going to happen. Am I remembering this right?
There was a little bit of confusion early on about what was going on, but ultimately that corner. I mean, Columbia has this vibrant downtown with lots of shops and businesses and restaurants and bars and a very active downtown. And right next to it is the college campus with 30 odd thousand, 35,000 students, whatever it is. And the two are right next to each other. And Shakespeare's Pizza is right there on the street that connects the biggest street that connects those two. So that street corner deserved something more than this old building from the 20s and a parking lot full of potholes. It deserved a really good building like it has now. So it was probably a good move that things changed around, and we got to stay on that corner, and we're down there making pizzas right now, and it's a lot of fun.
Shakespeare's is coming up on 50 years. How long before it's 50 years?
2023 will be the 50-year anniversary for Shakespeare's.
All right, so here's my prediction. You're going to be at Shakespeare's until then. What are you going to do after that?
Oh, I'll be at Shakespeare's long after. I don't know what I'm gonna. I don't think I'm ever gonna leave this place. This is a small business. They don't have a pension plan or retirement, so I'll stick around. I mean, we're having too much fun throwing this party. So anything I can do to help with that and help the Lewises keep throwing the party and hopefully people still like us and we'll have fun with it. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
And if you're going to throw your going away party, what is that going to look like?
Oh, my going away party? I don't know. I think the 50th party is going to be really fun. We're trying to decide what to do now. I don't know what we'll do, but we want to really blow it up big. And Shakespeare's, in a way, Shakespeare's belongs to Columbia. It's not. I mean, yeah, it's our business, and we're trying to make money, and it's for profit, and the Lewises own it, and all of that. But if you really look at it, Shakespeare's belongs to Columbia, and we owe it to Columbia to throw them a party so that we can celebrate together, having this really fun trip that's been going on for 50 years. So we're proud of that, and we're real grateful to Columbia for buying pizza all these years.
Well, here's what I owe you. I owe you memories of being with my dad after Mizzou football games. I owe you memories of the first night my daughter was about to start school and the last night before she left after having graduated. I owe you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I owe you my wife and I watching football games at Shakespeare's. And I got to think, and again, hyperbole, maybe, that's what makes your job even more fun is you sell a lot of pizza, you employ a lot of young people, you help them become adults. I get it. But you're also kind of a backdrop on more stories than you'll ever know.
Yeah, that's true. We hear about those stories from time to time, and they're all very, very flattering, very complimentary. And it's like I said earlier, to us, it's just a place we got to clean the bathrooms and cut the pepperoni and take care of business. But to a lot of other people, it's more than that. And when we hear those stories, it's very flattering and very, very heartwarming and very, very, very fun. So we're glad that we can be that.
We got a little Sesame Street at the end of that, but I thought it was okay.
Nah, is that what that was? Okay.
You do a lot of these. You okay? You make it through? Everything good?
Yeah. We made it through 2020. We didn't have to let anybody go for the pandemic. We were able to keep floating, and we're still here, coming out of it. Everybody wash your hands, get vaccinated, and hopefully we'll be here a little longer. Maybe we'll make it to that 50th.
You'll make it. You're a good dude. Thanks for everything. Keep doing what you do.
So are you, David. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for giving us this big compliment.
Shakespeare's Pizza. Shakespeare's Pizza. If you live in St. Louis, it's at every Schnucks, every Deerbergs, everywhere you need to go. Shakespeare's Pizza. And my vote, I love my two favorites are the Italian pork. And when I don't have to give any to the family and I can eat it all the way I like it, the Supreme. Because I get
the pizza lover's passion. Yeah, there you go.
And that doesn't fly with the wife all the time, but when it's just me and I got like a weekend, that's the go-to.
Well, thanks, David. We appreciate that.
Take care, man.